This is my daughter's dog, little Zedie, and this is Archie. And I'm like, whose dog is Archie? Yeah. Yeah. Cutie, cutie. There they are.
Good evening. I would like to call to order the regular meeting of the Newport News School Board for Tuesday, May 21st, 2024. On behalf of the members of the school board and Dr. Mitchell, I welcome each of you present this evening and those who are watching on TV and online. A quorum is present to transact the business of the school division. We will begin tonight's meeting with the invocation and pledge to the flag. Here to do the honors are two students from Sanford Elementary School. We have Amari Barton and Tony Boyd. First, Amari will come forward and deliver the invocation. He will be followed by Tony, who will come forward and deliver the pledge. So, Amari, will you please come up and tell us a little bit about yourself before you get started?
My name is Amari Barton. My favorite subject in school is science. My favorite thing about school is to make new friends and learn new things. My favorite hobby or sport to play is football. And when I grow up, I want to be a football player in the NFL.
Great. I'm ready for your invocation.
Okay.
Thank you.
The joy of learning. I love to learn, to explore and discover, to grow and grow wiser. There's nothing like a good book or a new idea to make me feel alive. I'm passionate about learning. It's what makes me happy. No matter what life throws my way, I know that learning will always be there for me, a constant source of comfort and joy.
Awesome. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing. So, Tony, will you please come forward and tell us a little about yourself before you share the pledge? Here you are.
My name is Tony Boyd. My favorite subject in school is math because it helps you get smart. So they can hear you.
Are you ready for us to stand for the pledge?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Tony. You did a great job. I want to thank both of you for participating in tonight's meeting. It made a big difference, and it helps us get started on the right foot for our meeting. I think you might have some family and school leaders with you. Can you all please stand? Thank you very much. We appreciate you supporting them and bringing them to us this evening. The next item on tonight's agenda is school board recognitions. So, Dr. Mitchell, would you please join me at the podium?
Good evening. I have the honor and privilege of recognizing this month's school board honorees. The National Association of Music Merchants Foundation recognizes outstanding efforts by teachers, administrators, parents, students, and community leaders who work together to ensure access to music learning for all students as part of the school curriculum. Each year, the organization designates the best communities for music education. We're proud to share that Newport News Public Schools is named to this list for 2024. Present this evening to accept this honor are Katie Sheehan Smith, the Supervisor of Visual and Performing Arts, and Tony Mata, Visual and Performing Arts Instructional Specialist. Would you both please come forward? Newport News Public Schools offers music instruction beginning in kindergarten. At the elementary school level, students are introduced to music through the use of songs, movement, and instruments. In middle school, students may take band, orchestra, or chorus and join performance ensembles. Our high schools offer more than 15 music courses, including advanced placement courses, and high school ensembles perform numerous concerts every year. Community performances are an integral part of Newport News Public Schools' music program. Student musical ensembles have played at the Ferguson Center for the Arts, which this year for the first time, hosted our All-City Music Festival. They've also played at the Downing Gross Cultural Arts Center and at numerous banquets, community celebrations, groundbreaking ceremonies, and dedications. Newport News Public Schools has a diverse music curriculum, which includes the Summer Institute of the Arts, a multi-week program in music, dance, theater, and visual arts for rising 8th through 12th grade students, and of course, the Arts and Communications Magnet at Woodside High School. We know there have been numerous times, many times, that the school division has earned this designation. So, Ms. Sheehan Smith, Mr. Mata, thank you, and please share this acknowledgement with all of our music educators and our students. Thank you, and again, congratulations. Our next honorees are school-based ambassadors of Newport News Public Schools' diverse music program. They lead award-winning music programs. Building successful music departments takes a combination of dedicated teachers, supportive administrators and parents, and committed students and high standards. This evening, we're proud to recognize and celebrate the accomplishments of not one, but two high school music programs that have earned a top honor. The music programs at Heritage High School and Minchville High School were awarded the Virginia Music Educators Association 2024 Blue Ribbon Award. Present this evening to accept this recognition on behalf of the Heritage Music Program are Choral Director Arcelia Simmons. Ms. Simmons, would you please come forward? Round of applause. And Band Director Jameer Brown. Mr. Brown. We also invite the proud principal of Heritage, Dr. Erling Hunter. Would you please come forward, Dr. Hunter? We'd also like to recognize the team at Minchville High School who lead their music program. Band Director Deborah Sarvey. Ms. Sarvey. Orchestra Director Anna Moyer. Ms. Moyer. And the Choral Director Zainab Mustafa. Ms. Mustafa. I'd also like to acknowledge their proud principal, Lisa Egoff. Is Ms. Egoff here? Oh, please. Oh, come on up, Ms. G. Thank you. Ms. Diamond G is here. Thank you. The Virginia Music Educators Association Blue Ribbon Award is the highest award given to a school music program and recognizes achieved excellence in band, orchestra, and choral performance. To earn this designation, all music disciplines in a school must receive a rating of superior during the state assessment. And each of the top performing groups from every ensemble earn a superior rating by performing 2 pieces of music from approved grade music lists. All performing groups had to sight read or sight sing to be eligible for the award during the association's District Concert Performance Assessment, which is not an easy achievement. In addition to their performance during the district events, the choral ensembles, orchestra, and band have performed at numerous events showcasing their talents and bringing honor and pride to their school communities. So again, please join us in congratulating Heritage and Menchville for earning this designation. And again, congratulations. Okay, so we're going to take a quick photo before you return to your seats. Get you in front. You know I'm Now we kind of did a little foreshadowing there because there were 2 banners. So also this year, 2 of our high school bands earned top honors from the Virginia Band and Orchestra Directors Association. The Virginia Honor Band designation was created like 44 years ago to recognize high school bands with a comprehensive program. We're proud to again congratulate Heritage High School and Menchville High School. Both band programs earned designation as honor bands. Joining us this evening to accept this recognition, again, we're going to call back up the Heritage Band Director, Mr. Jameer Brown. Mr. Brown. And again, to accept this recognition on behalf of the Menchville Band is their director, Deborah Sarvey. Bands achieving superior ratings at the State Marching Event Band Festival and at a district concert festival are recognized as an honor band, the highest award that can be bestowed upon bands by the Virginia Band and Orchestra Directors Association. Heritage is a back-to-back honoree, earning the designation. This is the first time?
She's back-to-back.
Oh, okay. Your first time, multiple 10th time for Menchville. Again, please pass along our congratulations to your band members and the communities that you serve. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Let me get just 2. Okay. Our next honorees, you see there's a theme this evening. Our next honorees are gifted musicians. They are among the best high school vocalists and instrumentalists in the state and have earned the All Virginia distinction. To reach this accomplishment, high school students must audition and earn a top chair or place in a district event, which makes them eligible to audition for an All Virginia ensemble. Newport News Public Schools is proud to recognize 5 students who have earned this honor tonight. As I call your name, please come forward to receive your recognition. Named to the All Virginia Chorus from Warwick High School under the leadership of choral director Lynn Ballou, Natalie Cameron. Was Natalie able to join us? Well, congratulations to Natalie. From Woodside High School under the guidance of Emilio Pasante as choral directors, Taryn Wheeler. Congratulations. Named to the All Virginia Band from Menchville High School under the leadership of Ms. Deborah Sarvey is Abigail Mayer. Abigail. and Christian Winnan. Christian. And from Woodside High School, under the direction of Brian Grieb, is Liam Barnstead. Liam. Selection to an All-Virginia Ensemble represents the highest honor that the Virginia Music Educators Association can bestow upon a student musician. It is a testament to the hard work and discipline of our students, the dedication of our music teachers, and the constant support of their families. These All-Virginia honorees participated in a 2-day series of rehearsals featuring a guest conductor and participated in a full group performance. So again, congratulations to our All-Virginia students who were named to these All-Virginia ensembles. Congratulations. Congratulations. And while you're making your way back to your seats, I'd love to have your families stand up, please. Would the students' families please stand? Thank you for joining us tonight, but we'd like to congratulate you as well. Thank you so much for your support. Our next honoree was recently named a state champion in debate. John Steiner, a junior at Warwick High School and a member of the debate team, is named to the Virginia High School League Class 5 Lincoln Douglas Debate State Champion. John, would you please come forward? The Lincoln Douglas is a one-on-one debate style, and the topic was whether or not the primary objective of the criminal justice system should be rehabilitation. Lincoln Douglas is a moral debate, and it's named for the famous debates between Abraham Lincoln and Stephen Douglas. John had to prepare both sides of the arguments, which of course he performed successfully, earning him the coveted state title. Congratulations, John, and also to the Warwick debate team for finishing in second place and classifying as runner-up in the team standings, which is determined by averaging competitors' placements to rank teams. Thank you and congratulations. So joining him this evening are members of his family. Would you please stand to be recognized? Thank you. And also from Warwick High School, we have Dr. Kelly Mason and Ms. Bean. Would you please stand, administrators? And I'd also like to acknowledge his debate coach, Juliana Mortimer. So we also thank her for all her efforts too. And again, we congratulate all of tonight's honorees. We're going to take a short break so that our honorees and their families may leave if you choose to do so. You are welcome to stay with us for the rest of the evening. Just thought I'd tell you that. During this time, our viewing audience will have the opportunity to view this month's School Board Spotlight. So we're going to stand in recess for about 8 minutes. Thank you.
Fittingly held during Teacher Appreciation Week, Newport News Public Schools enthusiastically honored the 2024 to 2025 Teachers of the Year. Held at a banquet at the Newport News Marriott at City Center, the evening gave school leaders, school board members, elected officials, community leaders, and families the opportunity to recognize 42 of the top educators selected from each school. From preschool to 12th grade, these teachers represented every grade level, as well as resource teachers, special education services, model teachers, reading specialists, national board certified teachers, professional school counselors, gifted services, and career and technical education. And even after their day jobs end, many of these dedicated educators continue to serve students and families as tutors, mentors, or leaders of after-school clubs. Combined, these Teachers of the Year offer over 700 years of teaching experience. After each educator was honored, 3 deserving teachers were selected from each grade level. With 17 years of teaching experience, Kiln Creek's Jessica Reynolds, a 4th grade lead teacher, was chosen as the Elementary Teacher of the Year. Washington's Tanisha Kuntz, a family and consumer science educator with 20 years of experience, was recognized as the Middle School Teacher of the Year. And the High School Teacher of the Year is Lou Radford, an algebra and math lead teacher with 14 years of experience. From these 3 amazing candidates, Jessica Reynolds was selected to represent Newport News Public Schools as the 2024 to 2025 Division-wide Teacher of the Year. Congratulations to all of our Teachers of the Year. Talented student musicians and singers from across Newport News Public Schools came together for the first ever All-City Music Festival. Organized by the NNPS Visual and Performing Arts Department, the evening of musical brilliance shone brightly at the internationally renowned Ferguson Center for the Arts at CNU. Over 600 elementary, middle, and high school students were selected to perform based on their classroom dedication and recommendation from their music teachers. To perform with superiority in a blended performance ensemble with very little rehearsal time, each student needed extreme focus and talent. In the acoustically superb Peebles Theater, the middle school all-city chorus, orchestra, and band performed. The elementary honors choir sang in the Jane Susan and Joe Frank Atrium to a multi-tiered audience. And in the awe-inspiring Diamondstein Theater, the high school all-city guitar, orchestra, band, and chorus performed with excellence. Each ensemble had a day or 2 to rehearse together and was led by special guest conductors. These talented leaders included current NNPS instructors, music directors from nearby school systems, and retired music educators. Supervisor of Visual and Performing Arts, Katie Sheehan-Smith, and School Board Chairman Lisa Searles-Law recognized these special guests between performances and thanked them for their time. And CNU President Bill Kelly welcomed student performers and guests. Each performance was a wonderful showcase of our students' immense musical talents, a true testimony to the amazing teachers and high level of music education offered across Newport News Public Schools. The entire evening was free for families, staff, and the community to witness an elevated musical event, proving once again why Newport News Public Schools has been recognized for the 7th year as one of the best communities for music education by the National Association of Music Merchants Foundation. It's been a year since Shonda Woods was honored as the Newport News Public Schools 2023 to 2024 Division-wide Teacher of the Year. But this rock star integrated language arts educator at Crittenden Middle School continues to receive statewide recognition for being a positive role model and making all her students feel accepted and valued. In April, Shonda Woods' class was invited to the library under the guise of hearing from the Virginia Superintendent of Public Instruction, Dr. Lisa Coons. Instead, Dr. Coons and NNPS Superintendent, Dr. Michelle Mitchell, surprised Shonda as the 2025 Virginia Region 2 Teacher of the Year. Shonda was selected from 16 school divisions that form Region 2 and was among 8 regional finalists for State Teacher of the Year. In attendance to celebrate this prestigious honor were senior staff, school board members, and elected officials. As an educator for 25 years, Shonda continues to work diligently to set an example of perseverance for her students, while inspiring success and greatness in her scholars, community, and among her educating peers. To prepare all students to graduate college, career, and citizen ready, Newport News Public Schools emphasizes achievement, advancement, and youth development. And to help these young people grow as well-rounded and contributing citizens, our schools and staff offer a variety of extracurricular activities, after-school clubs, and service organizations for students to improve their schools and communities. During the annual Secondary Star Awards luncheon at the Newport News Marriott at City Center, middle and high school students were recognized for their commitment to grow as leaders and to help others. Among the 17 schools and alternative learning sites that attended, students in 41 clubs and organizations were recognized for the great work they are doing to make their schools and communities better places to live, learn, and grow. In the audience, school leaders, elected officials, educators, and proud families cheered on the student representatives who are perfectly positioned to grow their skills as future leaders and contributing citizens. During the month of the Military Child in April, military-connected students are recognized for their strength and resilience as they overcome the unique challenges of parental deployments and relocations. In mid-April, General Stanford Elementary, which is located on Fort Eustis, celebrated Purple Up Day by creating an epic entrance for every student, all of whom are military dependents. Purple is the combined color of all the military branches, signifying a unified support for military-connected children within all branches of the military. Sailors with Navy Cargo Handling Battalion 1 volunteered their morning to cheer on every student as they arrived at school, holding signs of support and handing out high fives. Meanwhile, Low Tide, the U.S. Army TRADOC rock band, pumped up the volume while playing a medley of classic and modern rock songs. With purple smoke swirling, rock music roaring, and sailors creating a deafening cheer tunnel of support, the General Stanford Eagles certainly felt like the rock stars they are as they were honored on this special day. Student scientists from 3 Newport News high schools were invited to Christopher Newport University to share their research findings with environmental professionals. For the last 3 years, Newport News Public Schools has partnered with Christopher Newport University on the Fear to Hope research project. This science-based response to rising sea levels, receding shorelines, and the formation of ghost forests along coastal ecosystems prompted CNU to partner with high schools to study how Atlantic white cedar saplings are affected by salt water. Using science to find hope among the fear of climate change, the partnership started in 2021 with high school students at An Achievable Dream and has grown to more than 30 schools ranging from Maine to Texas. During the 3rd annual Fear to Hope Coastal Resilience Symposium on CNU's campus, students at An Achievable Dream, Heritage, and Woodside High Schools were among 8 schools invited to participate from the Tidewater region. They were welcomed by Dr. Rob Atkinson, a professor of biology at CNU and architect of the Fear to Hope research project. Students then broke out into mixed groups with other schools to have meaningful conversations about their authentic research and share their findings with their peers across the region. Students were also able to interact with environmental professionals, college students, professors, and conservation organizations, while also exploring possible career options and opportunities to further their education. Thanks to this amazing partnership with CNU, our high school students are growing as scientists as they work diligently to find scientific solutions to real-world problems that affect us all.
The youngest one just graduated.
I hope that you enjoyed this month's School Board Spotlight. During our regular meetings, we provide time for the public to address the school board. These opportunities are scheduled in the early part of our agenda and towards the end of the meeting. Tonight, we have quite a few cards, so as we have done in the past, the first section of cards will be devoted to those who reside in Newport News, and then we will make sure that everyone gets the opportunity to speak throughout our second session. So as advertised, citizens may submit comments via email up to 30 minutes prior to our meeting time to be included in the official meeting record. For those of you joining us in person, the board considers this an opportunity to listen to your comments. Please understand that we will consider your concerns. We ask that you comply with our 3-minute time limit. As you begin your comments, a green light will come on, a yellow light signals that you have 30 seconds remaining, and a red light and beep indicates your time is up. So as we begin tonight's remarks, I want to take a moment to acknowledge and appreciate the respectful decorum that we have collectively maintained in our past sessions. It is vital for the productivity and the effectiveness of the division's work. So we really do appreciate that that is how we dialogue. We've been through some challenging times and through some challenging issues, and I personally am very proud of how Newport News has managed our time through those. I would like to remind us all that our purpose here is to work collectively for the benefit of our students and our community. Let us continue to focus on constructive dialogue, mutual respect, and of course, the issues at hand. So thank you all for your continued input and commitment to a positive and respectful environment. And with that, I will call our first 10 individuals. And the first one is Reverend Chamberlain, Natalie Chamberlain.
Good evening, members of the school board. I'm honored to be able to be here again tonight. Good evening. I am Reverend Natalie Chamberlain. My pronouns are she and her, and I'm the pastor of Hilton Christian Church. As a congregation, we strive to be radically welcoming and inclusive. Our denomination, the Christian Church Disciples of Christ, strives to be a movement for wholeness in our fragmented world. We choose to welcome all as God has welcomed us. On Thursday, August 26th of 2021, I spoke before the school board asking you to implement the policy protecting trans students. I'd like to remind you of my remarks. It would be easy to address you tonight on theological terms, but the issue before us is not religious or theological. The question tonight has to do with the safety and well-being of children and youth entrusted to the board's care. This community, as represented by this board, has a responsibility to care for every student, no matter what we might think of any individual's race, creed, color, gender, or gender identity. As a citizen of Newport News, a pastor, a parent, and a grandparent, I recognize that this is about protecting vulnerable children so that they can get the best education possible. That is a simple objective. If you need Judeo-Christian foundation for doing the right thing, let it be Jesus' own words. Master, which is the greatest commandment in the law? Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it, Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law and prophets. There is nothing that supersedes this law. Not any verse taken out of context, not any denominational or individual teachings, and not individual dislike. So tonight, as on that night in 2021, I hope you'll do the right thing and protect the vulnerable students who should be able to depend on you. Please approve and use the authority in Policy CH to remove the superintendent's dangerous procedures and return Policy JBP to the language of 2021 procedure, the one this board previously approved. Thank you.
Good evening, school board members. I had a kind of speech, and you're going to hear a lot of speeches tonight about a lot of the same things. I wanted to address something that you just said, Ms. Searleslaw. You talked about the safety of students. Really, that's why we're here. That's why we continue to come. That's why we continue to speak. We're really just here to protect the students. Our individual policies, though I think most of us in this room are very accepting of students as they are, is to help students grow and to feel safe. Governor Ralph Northam's policies was an attempt at doing that, and you had passed that at one point and accepted that. When Governor Youngkin came in, he asked to remove those and change those to a, say, more restrictive, to be nice, policies that could potentially harm students. I have 2 students in the school system right now. They are too young to have even made any decisions about who they are in life. I hope that they would come to me if they had any questions about who they are or who they feel, and feel that I would be an open parent as somebody they can talk to and we can go through this journey together. But there are many students who have gone through this, who face discrimination, who face hurt, and they have nobody to turn to. The current policies basically say that teachers have to report them. I've heard, although I haven't confirmed directly myself, that if there's even a rumor, there's the potential that that student has to be reported to their parents. And I can't fathom, and you're shaking your head no, so maybe that's an untrue part. And I understand that there's lots of back and forth of what goes on. What I'm here tonight is to please remove the restriction that prevented you from voting on the superintendent's policies and reinstate the policies that were put forth by Governor Northam. Thank you very much.
Leah Llewellyn.
Hello, I am Leah Llewellyn from the South District. Thank you for having me this evening. First, I want to talk to you as a parent of 2 Newport News public school children. I want to express the relief I had when I heard of the Virtual Learning Academy, also known as the VLA. I don't know if you remember what middle school is like, but it's tough. It can be really overwhelming. There's a lot of emotions and a lot of things going on. And I knew that my children could work through those highs and lows in the middle school years at the VLA with its smaller class sizes in the hybrid setting while still receiving quality education. They'd be learning without the distractions of traditional middle school. This was even more relief as school violence across the country continues to increase. Next, I would like to address you as a Virtual Learning Academy educator. I would like to know that I feel as though Newport News mocked my coworkers and myself by stating multiple times that our students would be better served elsewhere. Respectfully, I would like to know how. Better served when they're grieving the loss of a parent and will only leave their house for in-person support days. Better served when they're so horribly bullied in traditional school that they feel safe to come in with us. Better served when their parent states for the first time their student feels, and I quote, normal. Better served when a student looks at us with a huge smile and says, so this is what school is supposed to be like. Or better serving the child that gets to walk through our doors with a brand new heart. Something that simply wouldn't have been possible in a traditional school. What about the admin transfers that are now excelling in the hybrid setting? Your decision is quite literally closing the door on all the positivity and hope that is overflowing at the VLA. The parents of our over 450 students need to be told a very clear truth of what this decision by NNPS entails. The facade of the VLA isn't going anywhere, needs to be addressed. When this decision was announced to staff, we were told data was the reason behind this decision. At the VLA, we have regular data meetings. We know the data, we are impressed by the data, and we are very proud of the data. Yet we can't figure out how data would close an entire school. If the goal is to retain us as teachers, that plan isn't working because the district is now losing some really amazing educators to other districts. And in closing, I know when I turn and walk away, sorry, I've done everything that I've encouraged my students to do. I encourage them to speak up and to speak out, and I will rest knowing that I have done everything for them to keep their safe place, keep their teachers they know and trust, and to speak up for them since their voices have been silenced. Dr. Rogers emailed the district in March and enthusiastically encouraged all of Newport News staff to tell our stories. Well, this is mine. I'm telling you our story since our questions are going unanswered, and I encourage the board to please ask questions on our behalf. Please give us an explanation to this decision, and please encourage Newport News to revoke their decision to close the hybrid VLA. Thank you for your time.
Shayna DeRochier.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and speak on behalf of a fellow teacher who is unable to attend. My name is Jenna Winthrop. This is my 9th year in teaching in public education and my 2nd year with Newport News Public Schools. I have worked in 2 other school systems in the state of Virginia before coming to NNPS. My first impressions of the school system were excellent. I was amazed at the resources and supports that teachers can access. I was excited about joining the system. With the decision to close the Virtual Learning Academy, my feelings have changed. I have taught at the Virtual Learning Academy since 2022. Previously, I taught in Williamsburg James City Council's virtual program and for Virtual Virginia. The education and support I can provide for students at the VLA is far more than I could have ever done in the previous virtual teaching experiences I've had. Our school provides a hybrid option so that students can come to the building, interact with classmates, practice social skills, and get targeted instruction in a small group setting. As a general education classroom teacher, I was used to instructing over 30 students in one class at a time. Our unique program allows me to tailor my lessons to my specific students' needs because on a typical in-person day, there are up to 10 students at a time in one session. This allows me to get to help each student individually and ensure they understand content. I'm highly concerned about my students and how they will transition to Virtual Virginia. As a previous Virtual Virginia teacher, I know how the program operates, and I know that the resources we provide at the VLA are bounds above what students will be offered in Virtual Virginia. One small example is at the Virtual Virginia PE class. When I taught at Virtual Virginia in the elementary program, PE was a pre-recorded video I played from a video service, and students were expected to follow along. In our program, students engage in physical activities like in an in-person classroom. Students learn about different sports, compete physical fitness training, testing, and receive mental and physical health lessons. I'm confident Virtual Virginia cannot compare to our program's ability to engage with students and provide targeted instruction academically and socially. Since we were informed about the decision to close the school, my 6th grade class has been forced transferred 2 students to enroll in our program from administrators. One student was previously enrolled at the VLA because of behavior. They spent about 6 weeks in our program before returning to their in-person school. In their time in our school, I had no issues with the student or any behaviors, and the student performed at a much higher level than when they were in a traditional school setting. The student was happy, cooperative, and even told me about how they never felt smart before coming to our school. In the contact log, it is clear that a traditional setting is not ideal for the student because there are several notes about behavior concerns since returning to a traditional classroom. That is my time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Deonche Bick.
Good evening, Dr. Mitchell. The school board, thank you so much for your time this evening. I just wanted to come as a parent of my son attends Huntington Middle School, and you all started middle school football and sports this year, and I just wanted to give a little bit of feedback. Thank you, Dr. Best, for attending a couple of the games. And I just want to tell you how wonderful this program has been so far for our students. So many of our kids, this is their first time being able to attend extracurricular activities because some of their parents maybe couldn't take them to neighborhood sports, or it's so different now with the practices might be in a whole another city. So many of our boys and girls are able to play extracurricular activities for the first time. And the best thing is that the coaches are in the schools. And coaches walking around hallways makes everybody act a little bit better. And I've noticed a change as a volunteer and a mom. I do want to also give special acknowledgement to Mr. Eric Battle, who's the athletic director for our school. He has been phenomenal in this program, and I just hope that you all continue to support the after-school sports. Thank you so much.
Thank you. David Brockman.
board please approve tonight's proposed amendments to policy CH and use that authority to restore protections for trans students under the 2021 implementation of procedure JBP. When revising this and other procedures, please make a meaningful distinction between a policy and a procedure. A procedure should provide specific implementations of a policy and not constantly make generic references to whatever the extent of all laws is. It is not the responsibility of day-to-day staff members to read up on the 95-page Grimm opinion and the rest of all laws to have to try to find out what compliant behavior is. A procedure should prescribe that, and pursuant to the overriding policy JBP and Title IX, a revised procedure JBP should restate and elaborate on how gender identity is a protected class for equal treatment under the law. The adoption of Youngkin's policies does not protect this district from lawsuits as the board might desire. Youngkin would love to subject the student to make our school district a subject of lawsuits. If he gets all of his supporters on a bandwagon to submit opt-out requests to use single-user facilities and overwhelm them, we can't. Or by providing model policies that constantly state that access to bathrooms, athletics, locker rooms, and activities are to be separated by perceived biological sex, which is not the law, even if, with exceptions for whatever all laws might require, is misinformative to school staff and sets us up to relitigate Grimm under what Youngkin hopes will be a court that's more favorable to him. But if we are counting on MAGA to pay our legal bills, we are likely to be disappointed. The Virginia Department of Education's mandate supposed authority to force us to delegitimize trans youth at every opportunity stems from their responsibility to provide evidence-based best practices, which by openly disregarding public opinion and expert advice on the matter during their public comment period, they have not done. Trans people using regular bathrooms poses no additional risk to cis people using the same. There is no evidentiary basis for an opt-out request, and encouraging parents to use quote-unquote alternative facilities that promote the child's privacy and safety, which is not possible because there's no such risk, and making statements like, students will use bathrooms that correspond to his or her sex, even if immediately countermanded.
Ash, chatting young.
Good evening, Dr. Mitchell, members of the board. I'm here to talk about Governor Youngkin's LGBT policies yet again. It has now been 6 months since Dr. Mitchell unilaterally implemented Youngkin's model policies, 6 months of pain and suffering for transgender students in your care. Tonight, I want to focus on that one key word, unilaterally. Dr. Mitchell made these policy changes without consulting the public, who showed up en masse tonight to protest policy JBP, without consulting the school board, whose job it is to hold the unelected school bureaucracy accountable to the public, and without consulting NNEA or any district teachers who represent the professional knowledge and wisdom of our most honorable citizens. This is a problem, especially given the illegal, discriminatory, and unconstitutional nature of policy JPP. In the past, I've spoken before this board to urge you to do what is right, and tonight you have an opportunity to take steps towards that. On your agenda tonight is revised policy CH, which will remove the power of the superintendent to make policy changes, like the one she made to JBP, without oversight from the board or the public. I call on this board to adopt the revised policy CH and to use the power granted to them by policy CH to make things right. I call on you at next month's meeting to vote on policy JBP. I spoke a couple of months ago of policy CH potentially being treated as a consolation prize, and I think it bears repeating that we won't settle for that. The citizens who showed up tonight, and many, many more, won't rest until you overturn JBP. Tonight's vote represents just one step on that path, and we'll keep coming back until you do what's right. Even more so, actually, because you will now have the explicit legal ability to do so. I don't think I need to define the word complicit to a collection of well-educated and intelligent board members, but I do think it would be an apt adjective to describe any failure to act after tonight's vote. We will be back and we will hold you accountable. Thank you.
Jackie Batterson.
Madam Chairwoman, school board members, my name is Jackie Batterson. My husband and I reside in the city of Newport News. Our 3 daughters attended elementary, middle, and high school in the Newport News public school system. I do not like public speaking. It is not my favorite thing. However, I feel the care of our trans youth is more important. In my job, I have written more policies and procedures than I ever want to remember. I am here to discuss policy JB and procedure JBE. I know procedures and policies should match. Policy JB is from 2021 and respects the dignity of our trans youth. However, JBE, the procedure, is a direction handed down from the administration in Richmond. It does not respect the dignity or caring of our youth. I would ask that you follow what some of the rest of our sister cities have done and follow policy JB. Thank you very much.
Jeffrey, is it Birdsong or Birdsing? Birdsong.
Good evening, school board.
Good evening.
Superintendent, I would just like to come up to say, as a former employee here at Newport News School Board, as a security officer, my name was put out there and it was scandal. Well, thanks be to God, I can say I was cleared of all charges. And and so I would just like to say to the school board, if you can ask, either put inside your policy that there would be a thorough investigation on anything that any employee would do, instead of waiting, forcing someone out. And I just ask that you all would do that, because I am a security officer, was a security officer in Newport News, and I been here over 27 years. Right here at the end of my year, and this happens. They could not wait until the court date come to find out what was the final outcome. Then they want to hold other things over my head, which I had already been previously dropped off. Since then, I have been promoted. My evaluations have been good, but this is what the system has done to me, asked me to step out. But I'm not asking for my job back. I am doing better, much better. But only thing I'm just asking that the school board will look at the policy on how to handle their employees, and also stand behind their employees, especially security officers, because they are in the gap a whole lot. Some of you all do not even know how many times that an officer had went inside their pocket and helped the child out, brought clothes, brought food. A lot of times, myself, I have been to the hospitals, been there where kids have been shot, prayed with the parents and whatnot. You do not know the value of some of your security officers that you have in your school system. So I just ask that they will be appreciated and know that they are loved here at Newport News. Thank you for your time.
So thank you for your comments this evening. We will now move on to Section 3, the consent agenda, which includes 3.01, minutes from the work session of April 16th, 2024, 3.02, minutes from the special meeting, April 16th, 2024, 3.03, minutes from the regular meeting, April 16th, 2024, 3.04, financial reports, including the revenue report for April 2024, 2024, the expense report for April 2024, child nutrition reports for April 2024. 3.05, the personnel report. 3.06, the budget transfer. So at this time, can we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Yes, Madam Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Hunter?
4.
Mrs. Alger?
4.
Mrs. Amon?
4.
Dr. Best?
4.
Mr. Brown?
4.
Mr. Harris?
4.
Mrs. Searles Law?
4.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to section 5, reports and information. 5.01, new and revised policies. Dr. Mitchell.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. At this time, Ms. Tracy Brooks, Special Assistant.
Let's do federal funding. We can do it second.
Oh.
Do federal
Did I
funding.
just say no action?
Federal funding.
Federal.
Federal funding. She's next. She's right.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Brooks is here to present new, revised, and reviewed policies, and thank you for your patience, Ms. Brooks.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Good evening, Madam Chairman, Madam Vice Chairman, members of the board, and Dr. Mitchell. Over the past couple of months, the Policy Committee has reviewed or revised over 41 policies, procedures, and exhibits in the Students Policy chapter. So it is a pleasure to share highlights from several of the revised policies and procedures with you this evening. But first, I would like to follow up on 2 policies that this board returned to the Policy Committee in February for further review. And the first is called Policy Implementation, and the second one is Administration in the Absence of Policy. These policies address the superintendent's implementation of school board policy and the actions that the superintendent is authorized to take in the absence of board policy. I would also like to share a new and related policy with you this evening that addresses the adoption of a policy manual. Now, this first policy, which is named Policy Implementation, states that the superintendent is responsible for implementing school board policies and for interpreting them to staff, students, and the public. Your input as a board led us to review policies from other school divisions and from the Virginia School Boards Association's policy manual. From these sources, we added language that the school board authorizes the superintendent to create and update procedures necessary to implement the policies adopted by the board. We also added language that if school board action is required by law, or if the board asks that it approve certain procedures, then the superintendent will recommend the procedures to the board for adoption. Now, in the absence of school board policy regarding a specific situation, the policy authorizes the superintendent to use best judgment in arriving at a decision based on the spirit of other existing policies. So we also made a minor edit to the policy to align it with the language in the Virginia School Boards Association policy manual that requires the superintendent to recommend whether a policy should be written to cover similar situations or incidents in the future. Now, after doing research on the 2 policies that I just shared with you, we realized that we did not have a policy that addressed the state code requirement for the school division to have a policy manual. So we drafted a new policy that states that we will maintain an up-to-date policy manual, and it addresses the school board's authority to develop policy and the superintendent's responsibility to implement it. We also use this as an opportunity to provide working definitions for policy and for procedure for policy development and implementation purposes. And now to the Students Policy chapter. And as you can see, the chapter is in the 4th year of our timeline, so we're excited to continue our review as scheduled. The 41 policies and procedures that the committee most recently reviewed in the students chapter were focused primarily in 4 areas, and we would like to highlight a policy or a procedure under each of them. First, under student admissions, we will review the policy and procedure on the admission of students experiencing homelessness. Second, we will share revisions to the student attendance policy and procedure. Third, under student services and counseling, we are proposing changes to the policy and procedure on child abuse, child protection. And lastly, we will share revisions to the policy on student involvement in decision-making and the policy on student interviews, interrogations, searches, and arrests. So joining me this evening to speak to the policies and procedures under the first 3 areas is Maribel Simra, the Executive Director of Special Education and Support Services, who led the policy committee through several of the revisions that we are proposing this evening. So I'll turn it over to Maribel.
Thank you, Tracy. Good evening. The first policy we would like to share is the admission of students experiencing homelessness. The revisions to this policy and procedure were made to align it to the updated language and requirements in the federal McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act, as well as to account for the recommendations made by the state in their 2023 audit of our McKinney-Vento policies and procedures. Notably, we updated language related to the best interest determination of school placement for students experiencing homelessness. In line with state and federal requirements, it presumes that keeping the student in their school of origin is in the student's best interest in most cases, with consideration also given to student-centered factors such as the impact of mobility on achievement, education, health, and safety. The next item we would like to highlight is the revisions to the student attendance policy and procedures. The revisions increase our alignment with state requirements and regulatory language related to the truancy intervention process. While there are no substantive changes to the process itself, the revised language provides increased clarity to school personnel on the intervention steps to be taken when a student reaches a certain number of unexcused absences. We also added new language on the steps schools must take to address chronic absenteeism. These include the establishment of a school attendance team and the development of a school attendance plan to guide a multi-tiered strategy at the universal, targeted, and individual levels. These changes are in line with best practice recommendations provided by the Virginia Department of Education, as well as the Governor's Task Force on Chronic Absenteeism. Additionally, we added language to account for students engaging in flexible instructional time. Flexible instructional time, or FIT, allows schools to receive an adjusted chronic absenteeism rate based on chronically absent student participation in out-of-school time learning recovery efforts. While this does not adjust an individual student's attendance record, the change in our procedures requires principals to consider FIT participation when granting waivers for middle and high school course failures due to attendance. Next, I would like to share the revisions to the child abuse, child protections policy and procedures. The revised policy clarifies that all school employees of Newport News Public Schools are required to report any suspected cases of child abuse and neglect, and the policy will direct the superintendent to ensure that this legal requirement is met. The revised procedures adds the use of an online portal as an alternate option to a telephone call for reporting suspected cases to Child Protective Services. It also clarifies the role of the school principal or designee in the reporting process to ensure that reports are not unnecessarily delayed. And now I will turn it back over to Ms. Tracy Brooks to take us through the last 2 highlighted policies this evening.
The next policy that I will speak to this evening addresses searches on school division property, as well as the process for interviewing, interrogating, or arresting students on school premises for criminal investigations. We added new language to the policy to encourage law enforcement to conduct student interviews and interrogations away from school property for acts committed in the community to minimize interruptions to the instructional program at our schools. And we also incorporated new language that when students are being served with an arrest warrant for actions committed in the community, the arrest should take place away from school property and outside of the school day. The staff will collaborate with the police department over the summer to outline a process that works in the best interests of our students, staff, and the community. The last policy that we would like to share this evening is on student involvement in decision-making. Acknowledges that students are in a unique position to make positive contributions to improving the school division's educational program, and it encourages students to participate in school organizations that offer opportunities for students to express their ideas and opinions, such as the SCA or various student councils. Students. And in accordance with the state code, we added the requirement that the student representative will serve in a non-voting advisory capacity representing the interests of students in the school division. So in terms of our next steps, we will continue to solicit feedback from the NNPS community and school board on the 44 policies and procedures before you this evening, and we will revise the drafts as needed. Then we will bring the policies back to the school board for action at your June 18th meeting. And once approved, the reviewed and revised policies and procedures will be posted on our school division websites and disseminated to schools and public libraries. So this concludes our report this evening. Ms. Seimer and I will be happy to respond to your questions and to note your suggestions. So thank you.
Thank you. Board members, do you have questions at this time? I know there have been several of us that did call once it showed up in our docket. Any questions at this time? I know you'll be hearing from us.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We appreciate all of your hard work. So we're at reports and information 5.02, federal funding applications. Dr. Mitchell.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Tonight we have Ms. Verinda Robinson, our Program Administrator for Federal Programs, and Mr. Reggie Austin, coming before you to present the federal funding application. Dr. Austin will be doing the presenting. Ms. Robinson will be there as a backup. Yes. And I believe you are going to begin the presentation. Absolutely. And if you recall, every year, someone from federal programs comes before you to talk about their proposed plan for spending for title funding. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, school board chairs, Ms. Searles Law, Superintendent, Dr. Mitchell, and school board. I am Verinda Robinson, the Federal Programs Administrator, and I am joined by my federal programs team. Together, we are committed to supporting our educational community by strategically utilizing and managing funds allocated to Newport News Public Schools through federal grants. Dr. Austin, Supervisor of Federal Programs, will provide a comprehensive overview detailing the scope and funding of each grant under our purview. Our aim is to ensure that these resources are leveraged to maximize the benefits for our students, staff, and community. At this time, I would like to turn it over to Dr. Austin. Thank you.
Good evening, Board Chair, Vice Chair, Board, and Dr. Mitchell. I will share information on the federal title grants that are monitored and supported by our team, which include Title I, Part A and D, Titles 2, 3, and 4, Part A. This evening's update will include the purpose of each grant, a breakdown of allocations, and some illustrations of grants supporting student learning in action. Each federal grant provides an opportunity to embrace and support the goals of Journey 2025, our current strategic plan. Grants support equitable opportunities for students and complement the evidence and research-based programs and interventions utilized in our schools. While all strategic goals are supported through each grant, this table shows where each grant is most closely aligned. It is our goal that funds are used to develop and empower students and staff for success, create environments for students and staff wellness through supplemental educational opportunities, cultivate employee expertise, foster partnerships in and outside of NNPS, and finally, we steward all resources in alignment with the greatest student learning needs. The funding provided for the 24-25 school year for Title I is approximately $12.1 million, Title II approximately $1.5 million, Title III over $225,000, and Title IV just under $930,000 for a total of approximately $14.8 million. Additionally, all of the grants managed are formula grants, meaning they are non-competitive award allocations based on student population and or other census criteria. However, these allocations are subject to final approval by the Virginia Department of Education. This slide highlights the trend over the past 3 school years. This year's total federal grant award package of approximately $14.8 million represents an increase of 4.5% over last year and an increase of 7.6% going back 2 years. The purpose of Title I Part A is to improve basic programs in public schools with high numbers or percentages of children from low-income families to help ensure that all children meet challenging state academic content and achievement standards. Title I is our largest grant, serving over 8,800 students across 18 Title I schools, which include 3 early childhood centers, 13 elementary schools, and 2 middle schools. This grant supports about 34% of all of our students. Title I funds are primarily allocated to personnel costs, which allows the district to provide additional support to enhance the quality of instruction in our schools. This instructional support, in part, is accomplished through additional staff. This includes interventionists and specialists who support students in math and or reading, instructional specialists who support teachers' instructional practices, and family and community engagement specialists who plan and facilitate events throughout the year to further connect our families with the school community. Title I also provides for other staff to include pre-K administrators, VALS assistants, paraprofessionals, technology support, homeless liaison, and grant management staff. Additionally, each grant supports other allowable expenses such as mileage and printing costs. The following 2 slides illustrate some of the activities funded through Title I, including parent outreach, STEM activities, and book vending activities to support literacy. The purpose of Title II Part A funding is to improve student achievement through professional development for teachers and school leaders. This grant provides supplemental funding to support effective instruction to 1, enhance teacher and principal quality, and 2, to increase the number of properly licensed and endorsed teachers in our classrooms. Title II funds are utilized to support staff and students in grades K through 12 and are allocated to personnel, private schools set aside, and various other allowable grant program support. Funding supports professional development to improve teacher and principal quality, as well as division-level instructional coaches and specialists who assist teachers in all core content using best practices. As required by federal regulations, a portion of funding is provided to eligible private schools to support their academic programs and to ensure equitable services. This slide illustrates some of the ongoing professional development. Our team's ultimate goal is to strategically connect resources with student learning needs. Title III, Part A supports language instruction as well as enhanced opportunities for English language learners and immigrant youth. Funding is used to address English language proficiency and the academic achievement of English language learners. Grant funds are allocated to professional development, personnel, and other support costs, which include private school set-aside. Title III funding supports family and community engagement specialists who focus specifically on the English language learning population, ongoing professional development through 2 split teacher coaching positions, as well as professional development for teachers and administrators. Title IV, Part A provides funding for K-12 student support and is intended to improve students' academic achievement by supporting students in 3 areas. 1, a well-rounded education. 2, improved conditions for learning or a safe and healthy environment. And 3, improving the effective use of technology to enhance digital literacy for all students. Title IV funding is broken down into 3 categories. As I mentioned, like Title II and III, the Title IV grant has a portion of funding provided to private schools to support their academic programs in these areas as well. In the well-rounded area, funds are allocated for instructional coaches in secondary schools to support AP and IB training and to support evidence-based instructional practices. For improving school conditions, funds support school leadership and youth development training, and in the effective use of technology area, funds support staff development. Title I, Part D is a sub-grant of the Title I, Part A grant and supports the Newport News Behavioral Health Center, a residential treatment center for youth ages 11 through 18. The purpose of this grant is to provide prevention and intervention programs. The Federal Programs Department is responsible for managing this grant of just over $71,000, which is allocated to personnel costs, contracted services, and other various allowable costs at the center. So this concludes our formal presentation this evening. Our next step is to seek board approval of our 24-25 grant applications highlighted this evening by June 18th. After which we will submit our applications to the VDOE by July 1st for final approval. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share on behalf of the Federal Programs Department. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to address them at this time.
Board members, any questions at this time? I do. Yes. So the determination for schools that qualify for Title I is based on economic threshold. Am I correct on that? Just a percentage of students that are economically disadvantaged.
That's right. For a school to qualify, it has to be between 35 to 40% of the population has to be free and reduced lunch.
So one of the things I'd like for us to look at is possibly expanding that, because I'm looking at schools, like I noticed the number of schools that are here. But like, for example, with middle schools, I just looked at the, like, for example, I'm just using this as an example. Hines, the percentage of students that are economically disadvantaged. I personally like to know, how did they not qualify versus other schools that do qualify?
And is it possible to expand? So that's just something I know I inquired last year or one previous time, but I'd like to inquire about that again.
We can certainly explore that.
Look into that.
Absolutely.
And then, right, and see if there's any way and it's not just that school, but I recognize that there's students that have great needs that are sitting in schools that perhaps are on the cusp. But, you know, I wonder if we can loosen those qualifications.
We can certainly look into it, but we are required to follow the criteria that is set by VDOE. But we can certainly look at the data.
Right.
And certainly come back to you.
Right.
With an answer.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for that question. Others? Thank you for your time. We appreciate it. So we'll move on to 5.03, the attendance report, 5.04, the membership report, 5.05, the construction report. Board members, you have copies of these reports. Are there any questions at this time? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to item 5.06, comments by the superintendent. So Dr. Mitchell.
Thank you very much. I want to start out my comments by reminding parents that we do have some summer learning opportunities through multiple programs. We have the summer school that this year is called Elevate, and that is for elementary and middle school students. And I see a teacher in the audience smiling and nodding. Beginning June the 26th through July 23rd. We also have 2 high school sessions, as we typically do. June 24th through July 11th, and then a second session July 15th through August 1st. With the high school sessions, there's an opportunity for credit recovery as well as credit advancement. We also have, in addition, some really exciting opportunities through our STEAM camps. And I would really encourage parents to take a look at all of the opportunities, but we have the Mariners Adventure Camp, which is a partnership with Old Dominion University. We have the Youth Tech Camp, which is a partnership with the Virginia Peninsula Community College. And then we also have a string summer program that is in partnership with Miss Joni Ivy. And I know that I went off script, and so now I'll get back on script. Okay. So earlier this month, we were fortunate to share the evening with 42 talented and dedicated educators who represent their school as the Teacher of the Year. During the banquet, we had the opportunity to recognize each of them for their service and commitment to our students. It was an enjoyable evening, and I congratulate all of our Teachers of the Year. Do want to give a special shout out to the Teachers of the Year who were announced that evening by level. So congratulations to Jessica Reynolds, who was honored as the, say that again. All right, you teach at the same school. Yes, yes. Jessica is a teacher currently at Kiln Creek. She is a 4th grade teacher, so not only was she selected as the elementary Teacher of the Year, she also was selected as the division-wide Teacher of the Year. So again, woohoo for her. We're really proud of her. Congratulations are also in order for Tanisha Coons. She's a family and consumer sciences teacher at Booker T. Washington, who is recognized as our middle school Teacher of the Year. And then Lou Radford, who is a math teacher at Heritage, and he was named as the high school Teacher of the Year. So congratulations to each one of them. A big congratulations to our very own Erin Lynn. Our student, please stand, Erin. Erin is our student representative, as you know, to the school board. But what you may not know is he has been chosen as a 2024 Gates Scholar Program recipient by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The Gates Scholarship Program provides full college scholarships. He is currently the Woodside High School valedictorian, and he will attend Yale University in the fall. So congratulations. Congratulations to the Newport News Public School students who received job offers from dozens of businesses and industry partners during our New Horizons Regional Education Center's Career Selection Day on May the 9th. 38 Newport News Public School students received offer letters and company hats during the event. Congratulations to our students, and a special thanks to the 26 regional employers who pledged to hire our graduating seniors. Thank you for your partnership. A few weeks ago, our Youth Development Department hosted the Secondary Star Awards, which celebrate student leadership and volunteerism. The awards recognized 120 middle and high school students representing 41 clubs and organizations who are truly making a positive impact in our schools and communities. So congratulations again to our honorees for their initiative, service, and activism. May is National Mental Health Awareness Month, and I do want to acknowledge and thank our national award-winning social emotional support team, our student support specialists, our mental health therapists, our school psychologists, and school social workers for all that they do for our students. Also, May is Better Hearing and Speech Month, so in commemoration, we acknowledge our speech language pathologists and the teachers who support our students who are deaf and hard of hearing. Newport News Public Schools has a wide range of resources to support and advance the students, and I'd like to thank all of our dedicated student support services staff. And one final thing, we invite everyone to join us for STEM Community Day. It is presented in collaboration between Newport News Public Schools and Christopher Newport. It will be held on Saturday, June the 1st from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Freeman Center on the campus of CNU. If you have never attended it, it is an amazing event for families. The free event will feature interactive exhibits for all ages, displays information about STEM careers, hands-on science activities, robotics, community and school exhibits, and food trucks. And we hope to see everyone there. And that does conclude my comments for this evening, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to that STEM fair. We will move on to item 6, another opportunity to hear from the public. I do have a stack of cards here. Are there any others in the audience? Okay, moving on to the first one, Yvonne Bethay. Yvonne Bethay. After that will be Reverend Michael Burnett.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This is my first time, so y'all just please bear with me. I am a veteran. I am grandmother, mother, and I was a former bus driver, and now I'm an aide. Forced into it because of stress from the bus, forced me into an aide. And I was just told to come and, say something about whatever I know, because that's all I can talk about is what I know. And I didn't understand why there's a $5 cut in pay going from a bus driver, which I did for years, over 20 years, to an aide, which is no easy feat when you have bills that coincide with your other pay. I didn't understand why $5. I didn't understand the cut because I still have my CDL. I still come to work dedicated. I don't take $5 off my duties that I have. I don't take $5 off my accountability or my determination, my persistence. I come and I show up in spite of the teachers, and in spite of the children, because we're looked at as the bottom of the totem pole. People don't want to think that, but we are. We feel like we are the bottom of the totem pole. Every time you hear somebody talking about somebody, it's about the teachers. We don't hear anybody talking about the aides on the bus, which I'm an aide. And on the job description I looked up today, it said an aide is a person that helps us unload the children on the bus and put the children on the bus. Then you have a master aide, which I had no idea there was a master aide. A master aide is a person that makes sure the kids get on the bus in harnesses, car seats, wheelchairs, assist them that way. We get bitten, we get scratched, we get kicked, we get spit on, we get cussed out, just like my fellow bus drivers back here in the audience. You know, we get the worst of the worst, and we're looked down upon. Teachers don't want us to go to the restroom. When we get to some of the schools, they're like, we're ready to go. I'm like, well, we just been on the bus for an hour and a half. We had to absorb 100 runs this year. That's why we got drivers on buses out of the first school. Instead of doing that one school, the high school, you got one run, and so on down to the middle school, to the elementary. Now you got drivers doing 2 and 3 runs out of one school, 2 and 3 drives out of your second school, and so on. And then you got the little kids getting home late at night. Parents are ticked off because they wonder, where my child at? And then people saying, oh, the bus drivers don't want to come to work. It's not the job. You wouldn't have drivers that's been there 40 plus years, 30 plus years, 10 plus years. It's not the job. It's what you got to put up with and live with. And then when we get a raise, sometimes it's like, what am I supposed to do with that? Not to complain, just explaining. It's hard to go from $5 cut in pay, which nobody explains to you why it's $5. You know what I'm saying? I just see something, say something. I just want somebody to make it make sense to me. And I'm not the only one. These bus drivers, we have to. I'm sorry, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. Reverend Michael Burnett. After that will be Ron Lee.
Thank you much, members of the school board, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, Dr. Mitchell, everybody else. Thank you much for having us back here again today. Y'all know I'm here to talk about JBP and a little bit about Policy CH. My colleague, Natalie, was absolutely right. This is not necessarily a theological issue. But I think most can agree that when it comes to how best to serve a particular population, love is a pretty good guiding principle. And as a follower of Jesus, as a minister in the Christian Church Disciples of Christ, the best example of love I've ever known is Yeshua of Nazareth, sometimes called Jesus Christ. Yeshua, whose harshest words of rebuke were for those who took the name of God in vain, properly understood as co-opting divine authority to force one's will over another. Yeshua of Nazareth, who, at least in the stories we've heard about him, exhibited a particular love which was never characterized by control, restriction, repression, or coercion, but which rather showed forth in subversive invitation, conversation, affirmation, and liberation. Now, told you. Taking the name of God in vain to me is telling people what God wants them to do. I'm not here to tell you what God demands that you do. But I am here to remind you of what my standard of love looks like. And to tell you that when I look at Procedure JBP, and especially when I heard the voices of those who supported it and helped put it in place, I neither see nor hear this kind of love. So my question is, if your gender nonconforming students, who are some of the most vulnerable of the students in your care, read Procedure JBP, if they were to watch the recordings of these meetings and hear the voices that helped put that procedure in place, would they feel loved? Several of the youth that were with us outside before the meeting certainly don't. I'm happy to see Policy CH being put forward. I'm glad it made it this far. I hope you voted in, and I hope it represents a more accountable culture shift for the board. But first and foremost, I'm here about Procedure JBP, and I'm going to keep showing up as long as it's on the books. So I implore you, as always, to take a stand for loving care for those you have been elected to protect and rescind Procedure JBP. Thank you.
Ron Lee, and then after Ron Lee will be Tyler Eldred.
Good evening, board. I just want to encourage everybody to vote for the protection of trans rights for our students that are vulnerable. I heard the lieutenant governor say that some kids today don't know if they're boys or girls, and every trans person knows if they were born as a boy or a girl. they see themselves in a shower, they have birth certificates. That's not the issue. That is a lie. They don't feel comfortable inside their own body. They are very stressed out about their optics, and I think they have a right to be who they want to be. I'm a doctor with a mohawk. I don't look like what some people expect of me when they see my resume. When we talk about parental rights, it's equivocation. That is a term that they are saying in order to make what they're trying to advocate for seem better. Parental rights means shutting down transgender students in our schools, taking the pronouns away. It means not having to vaccinate our children. It is not a real thing. Human rights come before parental rights, and human rights are given to us because we were born. I don't want to go back into last month's meeting, but at that event with the lieutenant governor, they asked all politicians to stand up in the room and introduce themselves. You introduced yourself, Mr. Brown, said you work on the Newport News School Board, how long you've been doing that, and you ensured that you serve Jesus first, always in everything that you do. And a lot of people believe that way, and there's nothing wrong with that, except everything else that represents, in your case with the church and the politics and the views. A representative from Virginia Beach was at that meeting and said it's so great that a church finally let some politicians in. And I feel like that should have been a pretty good indicator that, this church is politics. So I am concerned about your vote, that it is biased, that there is some influence that is against trans rights. And I hate that, if the Equality Act becomes a thing, that your beliefs are counter to the laws of the United States. But that is basically what happens when there's a law protecting trans kids, people of all kinds of ideologies. So I wish the best for all of you guys and hope that you guys vote for humans.
Thank you. Tyler Eldred, and then we will have Sarah George.
Good evening. My name is Tyler Eldred. I am a community member at Warwick High School alumni, an organizer with Tidewater Democratic Socialists of America, and a proud husband to a non-binary spouse. I believe it was Archbishop Desmond Tutu, a famous champion against apartheid, who had said, "If you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor." And many of us here see a situation of great injustice taking place. We see books on queer identity and the civil rights movement being pulled from the shelves of schools in Florida at every education level. We see a woman dying because she was banned from accessing life-saving medical care in Texas. We see a non-binary student who was beaten and bullied to the point of death in Oklahoma. On topics such as these, our conscience cannot bear to allow us to be neutral. We cannot bear the injustice that Governor Youngkin imposes on our youth. We cannot bear when that injustice is adopted into our school systems. We are choosing to take a stand against injustice, and we expect our representatives here at this school board to do so as well. At these meetings, you have heard us warn of the rise of fascism and other forms of hatred, and we know that fascism is opposed in a million different ways, of a million different moments, of people taking a stand for what's right. So we gather here because we are not neutral in situations of injustice, in order to remind you what is right for justice, and to implore you to revise the policies to allow you to do what is necessary to take a stand with our youth.
Sarah George, and then it will be Eric Burton.
Good evening, Dr. Mitchell, and staff and board. My name is Sarah George, and I am an ex-Army officer and a supervisor at the post office. So leadership is all I know. I've always been in leadership. I'm here as a concerned parent. I have a grandson that attends VLA, and I'm here concerned that I'm asking you all to reconsider getting rid of or VLA going away. I'm caveating off of those young ladies that came up. VLA is a hyper program, and there is a need for the VLA program. My main concern is I feel like it's being forced. The VVA is being forced fed at the public, to the parents, to the students, and also to the staff there. My first knowledge of the VVA was the beginning of May. And then now we're transitioning over to VVA next year. What about those rising seniors that are at the VLA program now that have already picked out their schedules for next year? Now you have added extra stress. My grandson has an IEP. So as you all know, when we went through the COVID, the school system was in a roller coaster, basically. And we all had to do online teaching. They had to do online teaching. And so that was one of the worst experience we as parents has to experience, because we as the parent, we had to become the teachers. So the VLA program is not your traditional school setting, but it's the perfect school setting for those children who need the hybrid program. Point option was created for a reason 55 years ago. It gives an option to those students who are bullied, picked on, and other things that they have gone through. I'm retired. I've been retired since 2012. So I have a grandson that I'm raising. My grandson does have ADD, ADHD, and some of the other things going on. But I'm one of those grandparents that have nothing but time on their hand. So trust me, I'm sitting out in my car waiting on my grandson when he goes in for in-person. And my grandson has been through 2 behavioral centers. He's had a roller coaster ride with his mom, who was on drugs all the time. We just got him back May of 2023 out of foster care. So for him to be accepted into the VLA system, that was perfect for him. To put a child out of my time is up. Sorry. Just reconsider, please. The timing of it all is not right for the rising seniors. That's all I have to say.
Good afternoon.
Eric Burton, correct?
Yep. I do have to say thank y'all. I know I've came up here several times over the last couple months, and I do know that some of y'all have been listening and some of y'all have invited to speak with some of us, and I appreciate that. I'm also coming up here because I have also been approached recently by our own HR department to basically don't be involved, go away. As a union representative for the NNEA, I have a lot of drivers, special need drivers, aides that call me sometimes crying, don't know what to do. They just got cursed out by that parent, yelled at by a teacher, yelled by a principal, yelled by a supervisor, and they don't know what to do. Emotions could be running high, but I was told I cannot even tell them what to do. Are we not supposed to be like friends, family here, help guide these children, help them grow, help them learn? But yet we can't even help each other. We have more bickering inside our own system than these kids do on the buses a lot of times. We should be supporting each other, not tearing each other down. And I hope when we come up for collective bargaining, y'all support us with that. We have a large percentage, and it is just growing. And we just ask for y'all support. Thank you.
Next is Mary Voss, and then Alyssa Klein.
Good evening, Superintendent Mitchell, Board Chair Searleslaw, Vice Chair Dr. Best, and members of the board. First, I'd like to start with comments about Youngkin's discriminatory guidance. Sorry, my name is Mary Voss, NNPS teacher, parent, and graduate.
Gotcha.
First, I'd like to start with comments about Youngkin's discriminatory guidance that cruelly targets trans and other LGBTQ+ students. Please rescind these bigoted procedures. Most of the large school districts in Virginia are wisely ignoring Youngkin's guidance since it breaks federal and state anti-discrimination laws. In fact, his guidance has already led to 2 lawsuits in local school systems by the ACLU of Virginia. Most of the large districts in Virginia are ignoring Youngkin's recommendations, and NNPS should too. Please also support the recommended changes to Policy CH to allow the board to vote on controversial procedures such as the implementation of Youngkin's guidance. The public deserves to know where our elected officials stand on this issue. Please show us that you stand for equality and for protecting all students. Next, as proud Vice Chair of the NNEA's Organizing to Bargain Committee, I'd like to share an update on our authorization card campaign to win contract negotiations for NNPS employees. Contract negotiations would give staff and teachers a seat at the table to negotiate for stronger contracts, including better working conditions, such as smaller class sizes, more restroom breaks, more planning time, reduced unnecessary testing, union representation in meetings with supervisors, increased safety measures, seniority and job security, and much more. Since teacher and staff working conditions are student learning conditions, contract negotiations are also good for students and the community. Staff and teachers who are on the front lines working with students often have great ideas on how to improve our schools. I am very excited to announce that 3 employee categories now have majorities of cards signed in their departments: transportation, plant services, and custodians. A big congratulations to these departments, including to our amazing NNEA bus drivers, some of whom are here tonight and who have had a presence at the last 2 board meetings. Additional employee categories are approaching a majority of signatures, such as security officers, teachers, and school nurses. Numerous schools are also at majorities of instructional staff signed, with more approaching majorities. To briefly speak to fellow employees who might be watching from home, if you are an NNPS employee and you haven't signed your authorization card yet, please visit newportnewseducationassociation.com and scroll down to authorization cards. Collective bargaining rights really aren't controversial. Please keep in mind that Virginia's private employees already have collective bargaining rights, and most public employees across the country already do too. Thank you so much for your time. Please support equality and labor rights in NNPS. Thank you.
Alyssa Klein, and then we will have Effie McMillan.
First, I want to start off by saying, bear with me, I got a lot to say in a little bit of time. Okay. Good evening. My name is Alyssa, and I am a senior at VLA. I am here today to express my concerns regarding the district's decision to shut down VLA and transition to virtual Virginia. This decision has left many in a difficult situation as there was no prior notifications to parents, students, or teachers before the announcement. VLA has been a lifeline for many students. The mix of in-person support and virtual learning has allowed many students to thrive despite their challenging situations. Prior to this meeting, I reached out to my peers to understand why they chose VLA. One student shared that they had been severely bullied for all of their life and have severe social anxiety. Others mentioned that VLA lowered their stress levels, while some simply focused better in a virtual environment. Many highlighted the ability to choose their own schedules and in-person support days on Mondays and Thursdays as major advantages. The environment created by Mr. Smith and our teachers is unparalleled in this district. The community at VLA is extremely tight-knit. Students have strong relationships with all of the teachers, even those who don't directly teach them. This type of community cannot be replicated by Virtual Virginia. I have personally taken 2 Virtual Virginia classes, and they were nothing like VLA. Despite constantly advocating for myself, as y'all can see, I don't have a problem with, there were constant issues with this program. Many of my peers face similar issues, finding VLA to be an inadequate replacement, or Virtual Virginia to be an inadequate replacement for VLA. Additionally, the email that announced the transition was confusing and misleading. The phrase "after careful consideration" was used, but consideration from whom? The decision seems to reflect the district's priorities over the well-being of students and teachers. The lack of transparency in this decision is troubling. Teachers, who are already under immense stress and receive little support, found out about the closure just days before students and parents did. This mistreatment of students, or teachers, is not invisible to us students. We see how burnt out and stressed they are, and we understand the toll that this takes on their ability to teach effectively. I'm fully confident that within the next few years, this district will struggle to fill these teaching positions if this continues. No one will want to gain substantial college debt to only be underpaid and poorly treated. It's crucial that we start treating our teachers with the respect and support they deserve. In conclusion, this program has been a vital resource for many students, and it's really unfortunate that the district did not have the courtesy to ask for our opinions before making such an impactful decision. Thank you for your time.
Effie McMillan, and then Lisa King.
Hi, good evening. My name is Effie McMillan. I don't know if I've fully introduced myself here before, but I am the chairperson of Tidewater DSA's Trans and Reproductive Rights Committee, and we have been working on organizing around this issue since last fall. I hope you are all able to see our rally out here before the meeting, and if not, I want to let you know that we had a wide breadth of people come out and support. We had community organizers, community leaders, former students of the Newport News school system, teachers, and many more. And there are so many people who know that these procedures are harmful, who understand that trans kids deserve better, and who are willing to show up and make that known. And we can and will keep showing up. As long as these policies are in place, we'll be here. I do want to reiterate how wrong-headed the procedures are concerning trans students. We know that forced outings, exclusion from sports, and misgendering can cause real and measurable harm to trans students. However, those known concerns have in these procedures been superseded by either imagined concerns of supposed unfairness in sex-segregated sports when we have no evidence whatsoever to suggest that trans people, and especially trans children, represent some sort of inherent advantage or disadvantage in school sports. Or they're being superseded by trivial concerns like parents, for some reason, needing to always be the first to know about a student's identity, when that doesn't harm the parent to not be the first to know, except maybe harming their pride. Or they are being overshadowed by entirely backwards concerns, like the imagined threat that they might pose to cis students when sharing facilities like changing rooms or bathrooms, when in reality we have the numbers to show that if anyone is in danger in those situations, it is the trans students. And so these procedures, from their very start, from their very nature, are wrong, plain and simple. Not only do they cause harm, not only do they send the wrong message to trans students, but they are also just based not in reality. And so I encourage you to take the steps that you need to reverse these policies. Thank you.
Lisa King.
Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Mitchell and board members and staff members. I'm from Norfolk, Virginia, and my two children went through Norfolk Public Schools, and I have been giving my son's blessing to speak. He's a transgender child and graduated from Norfolk Public Schools in 2022. And so I just want to say, I decided to come up to Newport News today to say, if you have any questions from a parent or a child, we're happy to speak with you afterward about our experience. Because he graduated in 2022, it was right before Yonkin came out with his educational policies. But we were very thankful not to have that with when we came through the school system. It was a very private matter for our family when Gabriel came to us and said, this is what he was experiencing. And so like any of you who are parents, we turned to the experts, we turned to the counselors, we turned to the doctors, and we just wanted to know how to support our child. And then we turned to our school system, and because there was no formal policy in place, it was just easy enough. We went to Maury High School and said, this is what's going on. We talked to his guidance counselor. I sent emails to teachers, and let's face it, as you started the meeting out today and said, let's all be polite to one another when we speak to one another. So that was I don't know what I'm trying to say, but the main thing of schools is, yes, we want to educate our children, but we want to teach them to be polite to one another. And we want our teachers to be polite to the students. And the policy that's come down from Yonkin is basically stating that the teacher cannot have a respectful conversation with somebody who's coming up to them and saying, I want to be called by this certain gender or this certain name. Most of us, if I were to speak to you one-on-one and I would say, please call me something different, you don't even know me, but you probably would say, okay, sure. So you're basically putting your teachers in a position of being rude to their students, and it's not a very moral thing. I'm also a Christian, and so I turn to my church family, and we've had nothing but support, because God does believe that, we're all God's children, and we all come in different shapes and sizes, and let's face it, our schools have always been that safety net. My child is fortunate. He comes from a family that's very supportive, but there's many children out there who don't feel comfortable talking to their families about gender issues, sexuality issues, and so our teachers are the ones they turn to. So please consider revoking the current policy and coming to us if you have any questions. Thank you.
Snoqualmie, I think it's Beatles.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So my name is Snoqualmie Beatles. My pronouns are she, they, and I'm an English as a second language teacher right here in Newport News. Now, on paper, my job, in accordance with my state license and proven through the practice exam, demands that I teach English acquisition, fight xenophobia, and help to secure aid for the families that I service. But there are things I do every day in addition to what is outlined in this position. I teach compassion, I fight discrimination, and I secure for all students the support and protection that they desperately need. This creed of inclusivity is forefront in everything that I do, and every student is always welcome. I like to think I'm pretty good at that, actually, and it seems that NNPS does as well. I host a live morning show at my school. I am the student council advisor, and my face is on the recruitment flyer, asking educators to come work for our district. I want to believe that this era of inclusivity is what should draw more educators to us. Policy CH, which will allow you to vote on procedures, gives you a chance to make that true. The anti-trans procedure, JVP, accepted by our superintendent, is not inclusive. It is not compassionate, and it is not safe or supportive for our students. In fact, it will actively harm our students, and not just our trans students who walk through the halls daily so full of potential. But it will harm every student, because the very foundation of inclusivity and compassion they rely on in their school as their safe and supportive place will be gone. And that is what should terrify every parent. It certainly makes me ashamed to promote my district to other educators, for my face to recruit them to somewhere where they would be complicit in discrimination and a slippery slope toward legislated bigotry. You have the chance to put this right, and you should do so. Because if you cannot love and support every student, you do not belong in education. Thank you.
I want to thank everyone for coming and speaking to us this evening. We do appreciate it. We are going to end with our highlight. Down on the end, we owe him a big congratulations. I think he may have a comment or two. I think you might need to take a sip of water.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We held our last Superintendent Student Advisory Group meeting this month, May 8th, and we elected a new student representative to the school board for the 2024 to 2025 school year. His name is Razvan Verde, and he is currently a junior at Warwick High School. I wish him the best as he co-chairs the student advisory meetings with Dr. Mitchell and attends the school board meetings next year. Although I have one more meeting, a school board meeting in June, I want to share that I will be attending Yale University studying economics and statistics. In addition, all 4 years of college will be funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Scholarship. And thank you.
Well, we will not tell you goodbye tonight. We are just going to adjourn this meeting on that wonderful news.
Madam Chair, we have one more tradition at graduation, when you come across the stage.
That's
we all
right.
get a picture with you.
Okay.
Yes, we interrupt the entire ceremony for you. Thanks for reminding us, Mr. Brown. You all have a good evening. Thank you.
All right.